Giants, who I think no one really expected. I actually asked on Twitter halfway through day 2, who really expected Giants to be in this position? And everyone, of course, said, yeah, I totally expected that to happen. But there was a poll that was done by Leaguepedia, and only 3.3% of people actually voted for Giants.
Welcome back. Now, of course, we have a fantastic match coming up with SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses. They're setting up right now, so I found a place here in the audience, our lovely audience, and I'm going to interview this kind sir here. Sir, what is your name?
My name is Yannick.
Okay, Yannick, so how did you enjoy that last match of Gambit versus Giants?
Well, I thought Gambit will win this game easily, but yes, the Giants, from the beginning they put much pressure on this Gambit Gaming, and yeah, they could win the game.
Yeah, clean analysis. And who are you rooting for?
SK Gaming. I'm waiting for Ocelot. Maybe, yeah, he will make the game in the versus EG, but we will see.
Are you hoping for a repeat of the Gamescom match?
Oh yes, I hope.
So where are you from? Did you travel far to come here to our studio?
I'm from Ibbenbüren in Germany with a friend. We traveled by my car. I'm just 18, and yes, we were yesterday here and we enjoyed it much, and the studio atmosphere here is really fine, yes.
Can you tell us something for the people at home, how it is to watch the games here live in the studio?
Yeah, at home I expected some more people, but the studio is really relaxed, and yeah, it's small, so really nice here.
Really nice studio. Okay, thank you very much, Yannick. Of course, we have an amazing match coming up, SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses, so let's go over to D-Man and Jason for a look at that match.
Thank you very much, Socks. I've had some oxygen during the break. I feel relaxed a little bit more. I got a little bit carried away with that game, but goddamn, that was a good game.
That really was. I think I see some blood vessels actually popping in your eyes right now because of the screaming. But yeah, very well played game. After that very calm beginning, it turned into an explosive end, and that's the games you love casting as a commentator.
They are the games you absolutely love, and the question is, are we going to get a complete reversal now? It's going to be SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses, and it is a repeat of the Season 2 European Regional Qualifiers.
Yep.
And we know who came out on top. SK Gaming 2-0, a tearful Ocelot. Everybody's seen them videos. Everybody's seen me cheering. And actually, to be fair, I was nearly crying at the end of it because I was just getting so emotional. These guys had finally managed to make their dream come true. But the question is, have they got enough this time around to take down EG, who've just looked so strong? They've grinded out the wins, I think it's safe to say.
But back in the old style of dragging them out.
They have done very well. They did play a very different lineup, what we saw last match, just today. So this is something very different that we've not seen them. We saw, like you say, Snoopy on Kale,
Wicked on
Twisted Fate, Akali from Wicked. These are champions that we've not used to seeing from Evil Geniuses. We talked about right at the top of the show yesterday which teams are going to respond, which teams can react quickest. And it seems that Evil Geniuses can do that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, last time they met at the European Regional Qualifiers was SK had some sort of special strategy for CLG at the time. But the thing is, I'm not sure if they have that yet again for them this time, because they did something really special. They denied all the buffs to them for the first 13 minutes in that game, and that was so crucial because CLG at the time got so far behind that they couldn't really get back in the game. They couldn't drag it out to get the farm that they needed, and they couldn't do their normal style of winning in the late game.
They starved them basically of all the resources required. Of course, that was with Aranea, one of the key people really in that. Herkybot's with them this time, with Yellowstar as well. Candy Panda's back in action. You know, that bottom lane, is it going to be enough? How can they sustain? You know, you've got Yellow Pete, who's just been so... Pretty much, he is the staple diet of EG. He is always Mr. Consistent in that bottom lane. He'll never generally, he never has amazing, outstanding game. He's not in the big limelight. He's not the Gunwungs of the world, the Captain Jack Sparrows, but he is always consistent, and he'll always be there at the end. He was always pulling in, you know, he'll never get completely battered out of the lane. maybe struggle a little bit against Wei Zhao from what I can remember at IPL 5, but against Candy Panda, this is a very even lane. Both supports as well.
Yeah, you say consistent. I mean, he ran Caitlyn Lulu lane both games so far, and that's consistency right there. You might see it yet again. I'm going to have that one up my sleeve just to guess up as we see the picks and bans.
So we are going to get the teams in on the stage, so let's get over to Shocks to introduce both these teams.
All right, let's meet the teams. First up is SK Gaming. He has been around since Season 1 to support Nif. And of course, he's teamed up with his old buddy, the 80 carry Candy Panda. The popular team captain famous for his Orianna play, Ocelot. And in the jungle, he seduced the community yesterday with his wink. It's Hercubot. And the aggressive top laner, Kevin. On the other side, we have Evil Geniuses with, on support, can I say scumbag, Crepo. And of course, he is standing by his 80 carry, Yellow Pete. He's famous for his Anivia play. You know who it is, the mid Froggen. Do you guys think he still got it, the stare? It's the jungler, Snoopy. And finally, top laner, Wicked. All right, I don't know about you guys, but I can just feel the tension here in the studio because what a matchup this is going to be. SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses. Let's go over to D-Man and Jason.
We just had to. It's those intros. I feel like he's a game show host. Sometimes they're coming on. Sometimes some players love it, some players don't. It's pretty easy to tell, but they are really the superstar lineups. SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses. And honestly, I don't know which way this one could go. SK Gaming have had trouble. We talked about it in our analysis yesterday, about how they close out games. They really struggle towards it. And I spoke to Oslo afterwards, and he said the exact same. He says, we've really struggled to try closing games. And, you know, we mentioned it earlier on, the fact that they've thrown games against Fnatic. They are up against Evil Geniuses, really, who are the endgame specialists.
Right.
But they don't close games out early either.
Well, so
what we're saying here, Jason, is we're on for about a 50-minute game. Set your clocks.
Well, the thing is, if they're going to make a change, why not do it right now? I mean, I know Oslo had a talk with his team. You know, guys, this is where we kind of been lacking on, you know, trying to close out games, and we need to make some sort of effort to fix that. And I really wouldn't be surprised if they try to go for some early aggressive action and really try to close it out early.
So what sort of picks and bans are we expecting from these teams? We saw a few interesting things coming from SK Gaming yesterday.
We saw Vi, actually, Hercubot played against Copenhagen Wolves today. Well, actually, sorry, it was yesterday. Did amazing on him, actually. He caught Lux in the mid lane.
I think it was the first 2 kills, just destroyed them.
There was nothing they could do about that. He just focused on that top lane. That's potentially a ban we could see coming out. But then again, we saw Wicked on Shen. He went, I think it was 7-0-7 in the first game of the day against Gambit Gaming. And he was a brick. I mean, he was a brick wall, as you saw on Reddit. It was so hard to push out a lane. But then again, I talked to him after. He's like, you know what? I didn't even want to play Shen in that game. So we might see him, you know, on a Kali if they want to go for that. But I don't really know. I think ELG is going to play a little safer because they want to prove that, you know, that they can beat SK, since Wicked did mention that SK is probably their biggest opponent right now.
They did mention it, and they're the people who have been talking up SK Gaming the most, really. So it's going to be interesting to see how the results have gone in the scrims, because if they are mentioning the fact that they are really thinking they're the best team, that would suggest to me they've been losing to SK Gaming in scrims.
Well, that's the thing. During the Season 2 regional qualifiers, we talked to Oslo because they were boot camping with Moscow 5 at the time, and the thing was that they said they were beating Moscow 5 consistently in the scrims, but then we saw them in the finals and they got absolutely stomped. So, you know, we could see, you know, EG just kind of playing a little safe during these games, just to kind of practice certain little strategies they want to use, not the entire, you know, whole playbook. And then we might see that whole playbook actually be used right now.
And from Evil Geniuses, what are we expecting to see? Are we expecting some sort of steady play maybe this time around? Are they going to break the mold and go with like they did against Wolves? Do you think that was just something they thought, you know what, we're going to throw out one of these strategies and see how it works against, without being too cruel, a lesser team?
I don't know. They changed up their champions. Well, I can't really contest that at all, but I actually really enjoyed seeing Snoopy finally on an aggressive jungler, more of a DPS jungler, because he's all about the support. And he did exceptionally well. His ultimates on Kayle were so spot on. He kept Wicked alive in that last team fight, which made them pretty much win the game from that. I would really be happy to see him start, branching out his jungling, his champion pool. And Froggen, I mean, what can't he play in the mid lane? That's the real question, because we've seen him on Lux and Nivea, Karthus. I mean, you name it, he's played it. Wicked, though, to me, that's the real wild card, because we've known in the past of having a very limited champion pool of I believe it was Malphite, Rumble, and Aurelia. But now we've seen his Akali, we've seen his Shen, and I know he really wants to prove to everyone that he has a big enough champion pool that he can throw something wild at you.
And Season 3, really, the patch that came out, it's really opened the door for a lot of these players. Yeah. It's opened a whole new level. It's interesting to see really who's adapting the best. And it seems that Wicked has kind of taken that on himself, and the team themselves. I know for a fact I've had chats with these guys, especially Snoopy. I had a good chat with him while I was in Los Angeles with him at the time when he was there, actually ironically sorting out the Evil Geniuses contracts. They've said themselves, we are taking Season 3 very seriously, as they would do, because there's a lot of money on the line. But more importantly, they want to prove to themselves that they have that ability to take that step further. They, of course, got to third. They had joint third place with Gambit Gaming in the World Finals. They fell just that step short to the Korean teams. Of course, the Asian teams seemed to be stronger at the time. They want to prove themselves they can make it to the end of Season 3 and win it.
And the thing is, you mentioned on day one that they've only had one tournament first place win, I believe it was.
Yes.
The rest they were just in the top 30.
Which is strange when you think
really
about it. Everybody talks about the CLG, EU, and EG. I think it's 15 podium positions they've had.
I mean, that's more than most teams can say at all.
Yeah, which is probably why maybe the media grind factory that is being picked up of evidently why they've joined Evil Geniuses as well, because it's really a media-oriented organization. But it's strange to think that actually they've only won that one championship, which was the DreamHack Summer.
But they have proved, OGN, they proved they're an amazing team right there.
They proved that they could throw it as well.
Well, that is very true.
It's a little harsh, but it's fair.
At World Finals, though, they played exceptionally well. They showed everyone that they're easily a top team, but without those victories, it might feel a little empty, that kind of statement for them.
Yeah,
without getting the first place, obviously, getting top 3 is no easy feat, but, it's kind of an empty victory.
Yeah, it must feel that way, whereas SK Gaming, obviously two former players, Wicked and Snoopy, were on SK Gaming with Ocelot back in Intel Extreme Masters Guangzhou, in New York as well. It wasn't long, I think, after Gamescom, actually, that I think Wicked first left and then Snoopy followed. Oh, yeah. So these teams really know each other very well. Certainly, when I think back, Katowice, Ocelot flew off to Los Angeles with Snoopy. They shared a room together. These guys really know each other very well. I wouldn't say intimately, because that sounds just wrong when they're sharing rooms together.
Well,
Maybe that's a little step too far, but they are good friends, let's put it that way, which is... How does that play? When you're playing against your good friends, you have to treat it like a business game.
It's honestly probably harder to play against a good friend than someone you don't really know. I mean, just playing any kind of game with your friends, head to head is kind of
also more enjoyable. Do you think when you get to kill them?
Oh yeah, it really is.
The banter.
And the thing is, I was actually upstairs, just eating a meal. Also, I was there. Wicked came in, and they were doing some smack talking to each other. I mean, Wick was trying to bait Ocelot into something, and Ocelot's like, you know what, I just play what I'm comfortable with and what I know I can beat you with, kind of thing. I mean, it's awesome to see that, and I wish, we could have the community see that kind of more, that trash talking.
Well, we know that Wicked is very good at getting out the opponent what champions and what tactics are going to be played. Dyrus definitely fell for that one at the World Finals. As it is, though, I don't think anything was really given away. It was funny to hear EG was basically saying, I'm going to go down, I'm going to practice this champion, because if they see me playing it, they'll ban it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Just using it as bait, trying the mind games that are going on between these teams. Froggen was saying, I think, actually, I tell you like, it was Wicked. Wicked was playing, what did he get banned yesterday against him? It was Zed.
Oh, yeah.
Zed got banned by Gambit Gaming. He was 1-8. he was actually feeding like crazy, but it got banned against him.
He's been playing Karma as well in the top lane. Obviously, that one doesn't really seem more of a bait right there. But, it's one big mind game, and that's why I say being very adaptable for your team is one of those things that's going to make you a great team, because you don't necessarily need to look at what everyone else is doing. Look at something you want to do that's inventive, something new, and then you'll catch everyone else off guard, and then they'll have to be watching you to kind of, change the way they play to beat you guys.
It's interesting that, we just saw Gambit get beaten by Giants with the exact same team, barring the misfortune change, which honestly, it was a pretty big thing, I guess. That bullet time, it did help me. We heard it, landed it perfectly, but how would they adapt when they've just seen a tactic that they used work perfectly against Fnatic, backfire horribly against Giants? In the same vein, when you look at SK and EG, if they were to pull out one of those tactics like we saw EG pull out earlier, if they were to use that exact same type of thing against SK, would it backfire horribly as well? Have they really, can they work out a counter so quickly?
I honestly think that was a lack of research, because all the information was out there from the qualifiers that they play heavy CC compositions. We saw Fnatic counter that with the poke composition to kind of, stop them from getting any kind of engages, and it seems like they just didn't really look into that too much, I have to say. But you can see a kind of composition and the counter to that, so you run that kind of thing. It's pretty much just like knowing who's the counter to who in the top lane as the entire champion pool kind of cycles itself. I just have to say it was just lack of research onto the team, and honestly that's kind of a little bit of, in my opinion, disrespectful.
Yeah, and of course, you speak of the poke comp. It's something that SK Gaming have certainly run a lot of before. We've seen Ocelot running Nidalee in the middle of the spears. We saw Peke doing the exact same thing yesterday against the Giants. Is that something that SK may well try and do against EG, bearing in mind they are a farm-centric team?
That's actually, well, I don't know. I think they want to go for a hard engage. If they don't want to let the game drag on, because they know if the game does drag on, we mentioned it at the analysis stats, it's a game of stamina at that point to see who can keep the focus long enough. And SK has broken that, unfortunately. I think you mentioned Ocelot kind of said a couple times where he just lost focus, ended up losing the game for his team. So if you get someone with a really hard engage on the EG, then you're going to create these opportunities for these team fights to break out and for you to win them.
Yeah, and if you are wondering why you're still staring at us, I know I am a beautiful picture of health. I know, and you've got the side profile to please someone, not too sure what, but as it is, we are obviously filling time while the teams sort themselves out. They are setting themselves up on stage. I can see, actually, I can see the screen just off across the side. You may notice my eyes wander that way. It's because there's a lot of banter going on between these two teams in chat right now. Ocelot, Wicked, Snoopy, it's all going back and forward.
And Ocelot's asking, do you even rift to EG? And Snoopy comes back, oh, I heard Expect can.
Peke can rift, yeah. Just baiting it in there. And actually, ironically, Ocelot was playing Cassidy earlier in a solo queue game, sat next to Kevin, and he was just at the end, jumping across, rift walking across the Nexus, and he said, I heard this works well, Kevin. And Kevin just sat there, looked at him, and was just like, oh. So it's good that they can take it in great spirits, because they have to. When you're a team of 5 guys that are effectively going to be together for a year, you have to have that good team spirit. And it seems that finally SK actually seem to have settled on a lineup that they all seem happy with.
Yeah, I talked to Ocelot when we were in Katowice, and he was mentioning, he's finally happy with his roster. He's finally happy with their junglers. He's finally happy with their bot lane.
He's been happy a lot of times, but a month later it generally changes.
Well, hopefully it won't this time, because it's really crucial to be together as a team for a really long time to build that synergy.
Apparently they can hear me, because Snoopy's just said until next week.
Oh, man.
We shall see, but the teams are setting themselves up. They're getting ready. Okay, down to business. Bans. What are we expecting from these two teams?
I honestly wouldn't be too surprised to see Anivia. I don't think Ocelot's really confident with his Caitlyn, which we saw, Expected kind of counter him with when he was playing Anivia. So potentially that. The Maokai, being banned out. I'm going to guess that one. Oh, hey, it's already banned. Against Snoopy, and the Vi obviously is going to come out against Herkybot. He played an amazing Vi in day 1. And, why not? You want to take out champions that you're not really too comfortable with. Because I talked to EG when they're CLG at the time at Intel Shane Masters Cologne, and against CG Entis, they were like, we're just going to ban Zed because we don't really know what he does, kind of thing. We don't really want to go against him if we don't know how to play against him.
So we can see, you do catch a glimpse of those double headsets. Of course, they have to have one to basically cut big mouths out. When not even sure whether it works when I get that loud, but maybe it can. Anything can keep my chops away from these guys. And also, of course, the second headset, A, being their sponsors, and B, being what they can talk to each other on. So you can see they've got their headsets in there. They also have in-ears as well, so we're behind those headsets. So it's all completely blocking out our music. So our music? Not really music. Our
Your
mouths.
voice is music to my ears.
Thank you very much, Jason. Lux and Anivia being banned out by SK. No shock there. Straight targeted towards Frog, and Twitch being taken away. Of course, Candy Panda used that one earlier on. And there's the Nidalee taking it away from Ocelot.
Yeah, then you're going to go against
Olaf and Shen available. Which one are they going to go
and
for?
Kha'Zix.
100%. Is he going to go Olaf? If he does, almost certainly going to take Ghost and Home Guard boots.
And we might see Cassin picked up for Frog, and just to kind of have a repeat of what we saw. I wouldn't be surprised because he's played Olaf quite a bit in the last game versus Fnatic. He played him in the top lane. He's a relatively good Olaf, besides that little misstep he made. And he's a strong pick. I mean, you were saying before, he's pretty much 100% banner pick still at this point in the entire season 3, entirety of season 3. And why not go with him if you're confident? But it looks like, there's a lot of mind games going on. We were talking about that before, and SK kind of not trying to fall into anything.
Well, if we do say Olaf being picked in there, of course, Darian picked that yesterday against Brickid on Shen. He managed to completely block him out there and didn't even die once. There was a brick wall,
yes,
as Reddit pointed out, and actually he was quite happy with that. He was quite happy with it, Nick. He said, introduce me as Brickid, but he's not going to get it because it is going to be Kevin on Shen this time, so I expect Olaf possibly to come out from Evil Genius. They are going to go for the AD support first, though, maybe.
So Caitlyn Lulu, which they've played twice in a row so far. I was talking to Wicked upstairs, and he says when he sees Shen the other team, he's going to go Olaf because he wants to show everyone this is how you play Olaf against Shen.
Oh.
And he's that confident in that champion, so I'm really looking forward to see if he does pull that off. And my question to you, Demon, wow, actually, yeah, Xin was let through. How did we forget about that?
Yeah. Well, how did we forget about Xin Zhao? That's the question. He has been picked up. That's going to be Snoopy in the jungle. He could, of course, be the top laner.
It could be Frog in the mid lane.
He could.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. I forgot he's been running that. His this way back in season 2 he was running Xin Zhao in mid, actually. Along with Jarvan
in North America.
Yeah,
when they were there for a couple of months.
That was it.
He's running Lee Sin mid lane as well, Jarvan. I mean, obviously could be anywhere, but still in the jungle, he's a very strong champion. It really offers a lot to your team. And SK, I wouldn't be too surprised to see potentially LeBlanc, because that is one of Ocelot's favorite champions.
Mm-hmm. It is potentially.
It is a wild card.
It's very early on to be doing that sort of thing. That would definitely be the last pick. What are we expecting here? It's going to be an AD and
Ezreal.
Support. You thinking Ezreal?
Yeah, Candy Panda, he's known for playing Ezreal. It's one of his favorite and most comfortable champions. Why not kind of go with that? Maybe that Ezreal Sona, because then you have that taunt, you have the crescendo. It's a really nice form of locking the enemy team down, and we'll see what they're going to pick. It's only have 5 seconds. They're really thinking out these bans each time. Wow, they're actually going to pick it up before they can let Yuji do it.
They could have the jungler in there, and now it's really definitely going to force the hand of them. So Herkybot could go with either Shen or Olaf. That could go either way. Can be used in whichever lane. I remember way back when it was like every time I saw Shen picked it was like, well, of course it's going to be jungle team, man. You know nothing. Well, of course the teams certainly turned that around in season 3, and it could well be in any position possible. Of course, that's going to be Sona as we expect. What will we see from Evil Geniuses?
I'm really trying to think. The Lulu, obviously, since there's no reason to not show that, since they already have that Caitlyn. But I'm trying to think that they might pick up their mid lane here over for Froggy. I'm trying to think, what champion would he actually go for? We haven't seen much Karthus play, but instead, you know what? Hey, let's go for Akali. It worked on Wicked once. Let's try it again.
But can that work against the Nola for a Shen? That's pretty ballsy play. Or are they looking at a 2v1? But in Akali in a 2v1 is not a comfortable role.
No, it's not. But the thing is, it's really hard because you can't taunt her in her shroud. She will not attack you. That way she doesn't show or reveal her position. So it's pretty good against Shen. And we did see Wicked. I mean, he dominated in farm in that game against the Shen. And, why not kind of go for that again? But the thing is, he doesn't have any squishy targets to kill so far. He only has that Sona, which naturally does build up tanky enough with just the items you go, the Ruby Sight Crystal. And it really depends on what SK is going to pick up here. If they pick up a Rise potentially, which honestly would be a very strong pickup, 3 very tanky champions, and you can lock down that Zen to keep him off your AD carry. Even a Kali, which he comes in, I would not be surprised to see that pickup.
So we'll see what they do get in there. You can see the chat back and forth. It will be Ocelot making the calls. Candy Panda, it's not going to be Teemo, is it? We don't think so.
I think Freak's getting excited right now.
I think back home maybe he would be surprised at an Ashe. It's possible, but no. It's going to be Ezreal.
It's got to be. I mean, you have a Sun as a support. It's a good lineup. You have a lot of AoE in this, but still, what's their AP mid going to be? And he's going for the Kassadin.
Well, this time, at least Kevin won't be getting nightmares about it. It will be Kassadin in there. Definitely could work out very well here, actually. That's a nice lineup. Jace. Now that is going to be mid lane Jace. Yep. That is going to be frogging on Jace.
Yeah, during the qualifiers for LCS Season 3, we actually saw quite a bit of Jace in the mid lane and did exceptionally well against APs or even the assassin ADs.
Look at that. You see the book being put away? That's Ocelot's key book. I tell you what, that's probably worth a lot of money.
I kind of want to go steal it.
It's interesting. He used to have a little scrap of paper. I remember in Katowice, he just had a little scrap of paper. He's obviously upgraded. He hasn't quite made it to an iPad or some sort of peripheral like that yet. It's still a notebook.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but then again, that thing's going to get hacked, I suppose. But then again, if you get it stolen, you're into all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, that's very true. But I honestly kind of really respect that, because it kind of, it makes you can look back on your past and see what you picked, what you banned, and kind of maybe set you up for a slight advantage that you can use and win a game. But still, also on casting with teleport, that's honestly a really interesting thing, because he's already very mobile. He can roam around quite easily, but with a teleport on top of that, we might see some early ganks, actually, like some pre-6 ganks out of him.
So what are you seeing from these two team comps? Anything particular in there? I do see a last-second switch. Olaf going to top lane, Shen going to jungle.
I'm honestly looking at these two lineups. I'm going to have to give it to EG. They have so much damage. I mean, Caitlyn's going to fall off mid-game, obviously, but you have so much damage from the Jace. You have a Kali who can pretty much burst down Ezreal or someone if he gets to even Kassadin.
And a last-second switch with the teleport.
Oh, yeah, he was. Okay, so he was running teleport. Now he's going for that Ignite, so we're maybe not going to see any of those early ganks. But, having Xin Zhao to get in there, you have Lulu to knock him up, you have the ultimate out of him to knock them away, and it really creates opportunity for, Wicked to get in there with the Kali, Frog to get in there with Jace, and Yellow Pete to just sit back with Caitlyn, and, I'm doing an arm movement, you can't see it, but that's what Caitlyn does, the shots.
I thought for a moment you were doing the rift hit. The one hit. Do you even rift, bro? That's the question. Hey, on your screens, it is the Evo Geniuses as the red team and the blue team as SK Gaming, playing from bottom to top, and red playing from top to bottom. The question is, whose Nexus turret will go down? Will it be EG's or will it be SK Gaming's?
And Jason, you'll find out in about 70 minutes.
It could potentially be a long one. We're settling ourselves down. Will we see any level 1 fights from these teams? We haven't really seen a great deal of level 1 activity just yet here in the League Championship Series.
Well, no one has any kind of heavy CC-oriented level 1 team fight, so I don't really expect them to kind of go for that. We want to see, EG get to a quick, or not a quick start, but a steady start, a really confident start, because they're not really a team that likes to fight level 1, in my opinion. They kind of want to just protect their own jungle, allow Snoopy to get around from camp to camp so he can get a position to go for some ganks and really create some opportunities. But as you see right there, EG, as I say that, they actually are kind of going for an invade here, going for that blue buff to steal it away from Hercubot. Well, or even Olaf if they're trying to go for a lane switch.
Or are they expecting the counter now? They went in, baited it. Maybe they're going to see and have a poke around. They could go for the late invade, or they could go for an counter invade. A counter of the counter.
A counter of a counter of a counter.
And it seems to be the counter of the counter of the counter. The shock blast goes out from Froggen, forces them away and says, nope, you're not going to take our own blue buff. Instead, SK Gaming kept on the hop. Yellow Pete taken down very low by Candy Panda. Could he try and switch this one on? Has got the Q to come through and is definitely going to force Yellow Pete back to base.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to win any of these early fights against him. He's going to need that farm to really keep up against Candy Panda. Not to mention, I mean, CP has the ability to have that extra attack from his Q, so he has a lot more sustained damage. And one thing that's kind of really interesting, Yellow Pete not running that flat armor pen this time. He only has 5 flat 8%, so he changed up his runes a little bit to go against his composition.
Interesting start build as well. He's just got 3 health pots on him, so he hasn't actually put boots yet.
Had a red pot.
He had a red pot. Yes, he has. He's popped the brilliance pot. Wow, he's had to use that already. That's actually pretty key.
Yeah, I mean, that was trying to give him that little bit of a lane dominance, especially against a lane that can poke like this. When you have no sustain, that's going to create a big problem. But then having that Lulu, who actually, Crepo, roaming around right now, going into this mid lane, was spotted by Ward, though.
Well spotted by Ward, but he's coming around towards the bottom, just off the corner of your screen there, and towards Ocelot. He's going to put the Glitter Lance across, and he's actually going to keep the roam on. This is almost like we saw Dignitas trying to do in the Season 2 World Finals. That support roaming around, and the invade is on. We do see Snoopy on the blue buff.
Yeah, and that red pot making more sense now, since he was going to be going 1v2 in that bottom lane, get the extra health, extra damage. And we might see him actually go for a 3-man gank on this top lane. Olaf, he's very easy to lock down pre-6. He only has that Ghost Ending Night, and he's sitting there at level 2. Get a nice 3-talent strike. You can easily knock him up. We do have Crepo yet again in the middle lane. He really is roaming around trying to create some opportunities.
So I didn't notice that, and I didn't hear whether you had actually spotted it, the fact that Froggen did have that blue buff from the very start. So you can see he's going to put a lot of damage, a lot of pressure on towards Ocelot. Crepo in there, as you mentioned, in the top lane. We also see Xin Zhao putting pressure down on towards Kevin. Snoopy desperately backing away, has got that double buff, doesn't want to lose it yet. And Yellow Pete down the bottom, he's trying to 2v1 it. We do have the jungler coming around off Hercubot. They're going to dive on towards Yellow Pete. Surely first blood will come out here. It is going to be first blood. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Snoopy goes down. Yellow Pete now laying down the damage back on towards Hercubot. They couldn't finish him off. Barrier was used, kept them away. Ocelot taken low in that middle lane. They are really pressuring his middle turret. It's already half health.
And the thing is, in that top lane, we did see Olaf pick up that first blood, but then he died right over to Wicked, gave that double buff away that he just picked up, and now Wicked may be so strong in this lane. He was already down in CS. The mid turret now going to fall here, and EG, this is not very like them. They're playing very aggressive early on, and we kind of almost expected that, to see something new out of them.
Yeah, they are switching it up here. We did wonder what we'd see in Season 3, and well, with Jace, they are basically playing it like a second AD in the mid lane. We saw it from Fnatic before, and now we do see Hercubot going to come in. He's going to try and maybe Shadow Dash, try and keep someone at bay, but no, the Shock Blast comes back on towards Ocelot. Look at that, uses the acceleration, tries to bash them back, puts the damage down on towards Hercubot instead. Snoopy was around there as well, seeing if he could get a poke around. We do see Crepo taking some poke from Nif, and this has actually left the bottom lane exposed. It's just straight 1v1, straight CS battle.
Yeah, and that whole switch that happened, it really catches the other team off guard. You saw SK, we had so much
going for this turret here.
Yeah, they're going to get it. I mean, there's no way SK can defend this, but the whole switch like that, having Lulu in the middle lane, it threw SK off. We had Nif sitting in that bottom lane, trying to go for that 3-man gank. It failed, and now they're paying the price for that because that middle turret's down. They're even pushing the second turret, and Hercubot, he's going to have to come. He's going to have to help them out because Evil Geniuses, they have the opportunity to completely take this turret.
They are driving down this turret. They've nearly took a third of health off it already. Snoopy is just bashing away. They don't care about Ocelot. They don't care about Nif. They don't care about the pressure being put on them. This time it's forcing Kevin to come down the river. So that's actually going to leave the top lane exposed. Evil Genius is switching it up here. 4.5 minute middle turret. That's something you never see from Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, very true. And this is the key point, though, as we do have Snoopy. He might get caught here by Kevin.
He's going to walk straight in. Kevin pointing the damage down on towards Snoopy. He's not no escape at the moment. Has to flash away. Kevin's not going to bother chasing it. Did have Ghost available.
And one problem right now is Evil Genius. They caught him off guard. They got this early advantage. The thing is, if they can't keep that flow, that craziness that they're throwing at the team right now, then they're going to lose that advantage, and they need that to really drag it on, and well, not drag it on, but to really close out this game. And as long as SK can stall it out and kind of normalize the game a little bit in their sense, then they easily will be able to, kind of get back in here and even up the gold, because that is a huge advantage for EG at 5.5 minutes.
As it is, Wicked has managed to buy himself a advantage in the CS at the top still. Of course, got that double buff like you mentioned earlier on, so he's a kill up as well. Hercubot coming up towards his top lane to try and even things out a little bit here, but Wicked is not going aggressive enough, and instead he's just going to buy him time. He isn't backing away just yet. We saw the bottom lane is also backed off there. 41 CS to 35. Slight advantage for Yellow Pete over Candy Panda. He has gone back and got himself a Doran's Blade and that longsword. Double longsword picked up, of course, by Froggen along with that Tear of the Goddess. And well, you can see that Brutalizer may come out soon. They are immediately heading back around. They're going to go and try towards his top lane. Wicked is hanging around. Kevin is up there. They're going to 3-man stack on the top here by the looks of it.
Yeah, and he knows it's coming because they do have a ward in that river. He's sticking around though.
And they've got 3 more coming. It's going to be a 3-on-3 fight coming out. You can see up towards the top, Hercubot heading around. They're going to walk towards that bush. Look at this, just perfectly holding off the side there. Here comes the acceleration gate, and they realise it. They get the Shadow Dash. The taunt comes out. They're diving in towards Froggen. Froggen tries to turn it back around, and this time he escapes. He flashes out of there. Is he going to be able to escape the damage? Yes, he is. And it looks like Evil Geniuses have managed to do a Houdini and get the hell out of there.
Doing a Houdini. Yeah, that was actually a critical point right there, because we saw Wicked. He was level 6 compared to Kevin, who was level 5, so you have the ability to dash in. They're still sticking around this top lane. They really want blood. They really
the acceleration gate comes across. Couldn't quite get the burst down on Nif there, and well, Wicked was taken low for his troubles. Can they turn it around? No, they can't. They're going to keep the pressure on the top turret, though.
And that pressure is just so overwhelming for SK right now. And going back to items just a little bit, we did see 3 red pots picked up completely. We had Kevin who had one, we had Wicked who had one, and we had Yellow Pete in the bottom lane who had one. So they're really trying to push that early aggression. Wicked just want to get the extra health, that extra damage, and create an opportunity in this top lane. But EG, they're being stalled. They're getting slower. They didn't get this turret down as low as they probably wanted to, and this is creating an opportunity for SK to catch up and farm and to really, kind of maybe pick up a kill or two, because they're roaming around quite well to kind of counter this. They had Shen there, they had Sona there to kind of come up in the top lane. They knew AG was trying to go for a gank in the top side, and they prevented that.
Well, it looks like SK Gaming going to make a move for the blue buff. I'm not too sure whether Evil Geniuses are really in a position to stop this one, because you can see that Froggen and Crepo are on the top lane. Snoopy in the jungle is on the red buff right now, and nobody but is anywhere near this one. They could pick up the blue buff and then realistically rotate round down to Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete on that turret, of course, you can see doing a 1v1 with Candy Panda. I would expect Ocelot to make moves down there. They are going to try and 4-man stack to counter this on towards the top turret. And whoa, no, Nif's going to walk straight into that wall. They're going to audacious charge straight in. The shock blast comes out. down. They're going to get the knock up, and that's going to be a dead Nif going down.
Lane.
It's Snoopy. It is the bot lane. They are going to 3-man stock him towards Yellow Pete. Barrier comes out, but he's not going to be enough. He's trying to hold out as long as he can. He's going to go down, and they are going to counter and steal away the blue bot for their own. If I was Kevin, I would not be staying in that top lane right now.
And if I was SK at that bottom lane, I'd be pushing up because you do have wards to actually spot them going back up into the top lane, trying to get the aggression there, trying to get that turret down. As you do finally have Candy Penny's going to stick around, go for that turret. And the top side, Kevin, he's going to get caught here. This is not good for him.
Why did he stay around when they do down well? They just saw Nif go down a moment ago. It's a 4-man pylon in the top there. Let's go see Snoopy going down. They just saw Nif go down in the top there. Why did he stick around?
I wish I could tell you that because there was no reason for it. I mean, I guess he has really big axes. We do have also coming to the top side. Might be able to get Froggen down here.
Oh, I'm waiting to see Froggen trying to get away. I don't think his axes are big enough there for Ocelot, and he's going to force him away. So, turret apiece right now. That was the bottom turret going down. It was Candy Panda that picked that one up, and of course the kill on that bottom lane went across the Hercubot when they came for the invade on towards Yellow Pete. So, let's have a look. Let's take stock of the situation. It's an 800 gold swing for Evil Geniuses right now. Has their early gamble, their early aggression, something we never ever see from Evil Geniuses, worked out?
It has so far. The problem is that Evil Geniuses, they picked champions that they had a lot of damage early on, minus Caitlyn, who's just been solo farming the bottom lane. So as in, you have that control, you have really good damage out of him because of that percent armor pen off his passive. You have a Kali who just needs that level 6 to start blowing through your entire team. Then you have Jace who does percent damage. You have his range if you need to be. And then we look at our SK side, they have more of a late game team with that Olaf, with that Shen, and with Kassadin. So they're just trying to stall it out while EG's trying to end this early on. And so far, when push comes to shove, EG's been winning this.
Snoopy Moa gets spotted out there by Ocelot. Ping's going down, Ward's going out, looking like a potential setup for the Dragon here, just defending off that mid lane. We do see SK Gaming stacking up in the middle at the moment. Who would really want this straight up fight in the mid for the Dragon?
Thing is, I don't think SK wants to fight this, but they also don't want to let EG get this to get that gold income because we have the health items coming out of SK right now. Oh, we do have Ocelot trying to go for a little bit of chip there. But going back to the items, I mean, we have Kevin, he has a Giant's Belt, he has Ruby Crystal, we see Shen, Hercubot has his Ruby Crystal as well, not to mention his Razor. And then we have Cass in the mid lane, Ocelot, he has his tier, and he has Ruby Crystal on top of that. They're all trying to build health to kind of counter this early game team that EG has.
Okay, this is the trade right now. They're going to go for the Dragon area with Geniuses. They're definitely going to lose that top lane, I feel. You can see Kevin continuing to push there. Are they going to drive him towards the middle? No, instead they're going to try and come down and steal it maybe. Not even close to it. Going to be the first Dragon for Evil Geniuses. That top turret is not going to go to Kevin. He's not going to be able to work that one down without someone getting up there. You can see Froggen already making a run for that top lane. I think he should get there just in time to keep it safe.
And great time by EG to really realize that, because they had that top lane pushed up like we were mentioning. You know, Kevin wasn't able to get that turret down. If it was a little bit, more in his favor with the minions, he easily could have gotten that. But EG is trying to keep this aggression, this advantage that they have to build up and take it through the rest of these games. And the thing is, I mean, EG, they're so used to dragging the games out. They're so used to stalling it that we were amazed by how aggressive they've been. But can they continue that aggression and use it to their advantage? And that's kind of the real question we're going to see here.
We see Ocelot maybe having a look towards there. He's in the Baron pit at the moment to see whether he can catch anyone out heading up that way. Snoopy's going to pick up the race. Golem's also going across to Wicked and Froggen. As it is, Ocelot has returned to that mid lane, so Wicked is going to rotate round, and all the lanes return to normality. 12 minutes in, Dragon or Wicked might catch onto us. Kevin stood on a ward there. He's like, nope, you're not going to recall in that bush right next to me. I'm not going to allow that one. How do we look between these two AD carries? They've pretty much had their own game down this bottom lane.
Well, the thing is that Ezreal's completely going to outdamage Caitlyn till that late game where Caitlyn has that huge drop-off in the mid-game. But actually, Snoopy was coming around. So he can take him on right now, but the thing is, they're going to get baited into this fight. And if he might even potentially flash crescendo this, but they have Snoopy waiting on the sideline. Wicked and Kevin going head-to-head in the top lane.
Going head-to-head, and Wicked looking like he's going to try and get out of this one. We do see Stand United coming in, and now Wicked is in desperate trouble. He's not going to be able to use that push. One more hit will be enough, and it's Kevin that picks up the kill, and that is going to make it 3 for 3. And all square once again. The gold advantage still just about with Evil Geniuses. It's only 1,200 gold difference, and now Evil Geniuses are starting to turn the pressure on the bottom lane.
The problem is that advantage they built up, they have to make a decision right now. It's continue with the story, try to go for it. We do have also coming around for a game, but EG just going to back out instead with that ward. But the point is, the advantage they had is kind of blown right now. They have to make a decision. Are we going to continue this aggression? Are we going to continue trying to group up, pushing these turrets down? Or are we going to drag the game out a little bit, try to get farmed up, get a little bit tanky, get some damage on our carries, and then take the fight back at SK? And the decision so far, it seems kind of half and half. I mean, they grouped with the bot lane right there, as you saw, but now they're spreading back out. Wicked heading back towards the top lane. Froggen sitting at mid yet again, going head-to-head against also here. Actually might be able to catch him.
Interesting change around, and you can see Ocelot putting the damage on towards Froggen. Can he turn it back around? Kevin is going to come in, but Froggen should avoid the damage and will get away. Meanwhile, down the bottom turret, you see Ace in the hole coming out there, landing. Actually, he was going for Nif there, I think, but Candy Panda blocked it out, so roles reversed. The AD carry blocking out the support death, and they are just going to have to back away. There's no mana left on Yellow Pete. He may well just churn this one out and keep pushing it. As it is, we stare at a blank spot in that mid lane, but Candy Panda, he's keeping the waves at bay. I'm not too sure how much longer for, though.
And he's pretty much just running from the mid lane to the top lane back and forth just to keep pushing that, keep that farm, because he was behind Wicked, but now he currently has the lead, has that Warmog done, and over to Wicked, who doesn't have his, Hextech Gunblade done just yet. Bot lane, we have Turkeybot coming in, but he's going to get caught by that Yordle trap.
Oh, Crepo getting slowed. Is it going to be enough? One more shot. Oh, they both had to flash there. Crepo, quick reactions the moment he saw Candy Panda coming towards him. One more basic attack would have been enough to take his life, but he got away from it, so 2 flashes burn.
And the thing is, looking at EG, they're not taking advantage anymore. It looks like they did just decide to just farm up. They are trying to control this blue buff as much as possible. I believe they've stolen away every single one so far. We did see Ocelot still one away from EG and had that blue buff for himself, but still denying that blue buff away. We do have Froggen to be catching over to Hercubot.
Hercubot getting caught on Froggen, now in all sorts of trouble because Crepo is there. He tries to put the hammer down on towards Crepo, and he beats him close enough. The Wicked getting there. Standing 90 comes around. Audacious Charge comes back around for Snoopy, and they do pick up. It's a 2-for-1 though, and now they're on towards Kevin. Wicked goes diving in. The still blue buff hasn't gone down. Wicked's trying to bait him around. Snoopy's going to come around. Has he got enough? He hasn't got any mana really to bait with this one. And now Wicked's stuck around a little bit too long, baited by his teammates. He's going to go down. He should have pulled out of that fight long ago.
And that went from an amazing play.
Snoopy's in trouble as well. No. He's going to try and dive up towards it. Can he execute? Can he get out of there? The Audacious Charge isn't enough. Instead, he's going to take... Oh, the axe came in! That was a whisker away.
Percy felt that on his backside, just kind of hit a couple of hairs or something like that. But still, that trade there, it really shouldn't have happened. That was such an amazing play by EG to turn into such a failure. Froggen with that knockback into the wall, like you were mentioning, to get Wicked over that wall to help out, picking up that nice double kill, losing, only Froggen since we did see Kevin pick him up. But still, it's like we saw earlier with EG in their game before. They lost 2 members, they backed away, but then they turned it around against the Wolves, I believe it was. Or actually, it was against Giants. No, it was Wolves. Sorry, it's Wolves. Turned it around and picked up a couple kills. So it's really unfortunate for EG, but still, they are not going to get secure this blue buff. Ocelot does take it, does get that extra sustain now. He has that catalyst done. He's starting to build up towards the items he needs. He's tanky enough now to deal with EG's damage. And EG's really in a tough spot at this point.
He saw how low Nif was and just tried to take a shock blast through, see if they can pick up anything from it, but it wasn't to be. Wicked now almost built on that Hextech revolver. Trying to get the gunblade completed. He is just going to farm out. How is it working out for him? Because he's 2-2-2 right now, whereas Kevin at 4-2-0 and Olaf. Is that going to be a problem come late game? Crepo's going to finish off this bottom turret. That's going to even things up. In fact, it's going to give him a turret advantage and a 1,000 gold difference. That top turret should go down shortly, but Kevin's not going to follow this one off. Instead, he's going to head straight down. Dragon is going to be up in about 20 seconds time.
We did see Wicked actually go 0-2 in his last Akali game, and then he kind of came back because he picked up some kills, and he snowballs really hard. He's a hyper carry, and as long as he can keep picking up some kills, keep picking up a couple of items here and there, they're easily going to be able to get him in the game. I mean, he's not even out of the game at this point. He's behind in farm, but it doesn't really matter at this point.
Hercubot going aggressive. Thought about putting a Shadow Dash across the entire team there. Would have called them all out. As it was, Pink Ward goes in there, and they do clear that one out. Snoopy trying to come in, trying to put the pressure down, but they don't have any Pink Wards of their own. They don't have an Oracle, so they are unable to clear out. That's how quick that Shock Blast can land on Nif, and it can drop his health just like any old Nidalee Spear would do. And it is a dangerous, dangerous thing, especially now he's got that BF sword, and that lands it a second time. Froggen seems very accurate with that, and I guess no surprise by that when you think how accurate he can be on Anivia. He thought about trying to help it out. Ooh, it's just going to keep on blasting through. The poke possibilities from Froggen right now is pretty dangerous for SK Gaming. If Candy Panda were to get hit by some of them as well, it's definitely going to put the damage down. You can see now that's what he's exactly aiming to do.
And I love this transition that EG made over from being very aggressive to a poke composition, because if they get a couple of good hits, just like you're saying with that shock blast, they can easily engage and just pick up a kill here, pick up a kill there, get some turrets, and really get the gold flowing in their favor. That dragon, it's still being really contested. SK, it seems like they don't feel like they're strong enough to go head-to-head against EG, when I believe in actuality they are, as EG's now the one backing off and away. They're the one that's afraid of SK, and they need to use this to their advantage. SK needs to start pushing, because they can't really lose these team fights unless they make a major mistake.
I don't feel they have anything that could deal with Kevin right now. That seems to be the problem. I don't realize whether we've talked about the fact that SK sometimes don't know when they're stronger and don't know when they can easily win a fight. This seems to maybe be it. Can they try and bully out that dragon? Of course, it does mean they're going to have to tank out that dragon damage, which is what HerkyBot's doing. They've got to be careful they don't get split apart, which is exactly what is happening. Candy Panda is in the hole. It's going to land on Kevin. They're going to put the damage down. Wild Growth with Wicked. He's going to dive on. Candy Panda now down. That is going to be problems for SK Gaming. They do manage to reverse it round. That's going to be one kill. Dan's going to be a double kill. Can HerkyBot get away? No, he can't. Yellow Pete picks up the kill. They're going to turn it around. Meanwhile, down the bottom of the screen, Ocelot is taken very low. Froggen should be able to finish that one off with another shock blast. Diving up towards Nif. Nif gets dropped. Ocelot gets taken very low. But Kevin is cleaning house right now. He's got a triple kill. He's going to come back around. Can he make it another? Is he going to go towards Froggen instead? He's going to back away. Very close fight, but it's actually SK Gaming that come out 3 for 4.
And just as you mentioned, do they have anything to deal with Kevin? As you saw right there, clearly not.
7-2-1.
They left him alone that entire fight, and he just trailed through one by one on the EG's on their carries. There's nothing they can do about that. They don't have any sort of CC to keep him away. They don't have an Anivia to wall him off. They don't have a Jarvan to keep him away from Yellow P, keep him away from, we'll just say anyone. I mean, no one can really go up head-to-head against him when he's this far ahead, and he's only to get further. And he's pretty much carrying this team. I think, SK was listening when he said, SK is not really known for knowing when they're stronger, but clearly right there, they realized it, and they went for it, and they came out ahead.
But the thing is, it was actually EG that engaged. They dived on towards Candy Panda. They took out the AD carry so early on, and effectively it was a 4v5 fight, and they still came out on top.
Yep, that just shows you how far ahead they are. And Candy Panda did get caught. It was unfortunate for him. We do have Dragon being started yet again, but we do have Froggen in the top lane, and it looks like SK will be able to lock this down.
Double pink wards go down, but SK Gaming have more men in the fight, and you can see those wards getting cleared out. Crepo needs to be careful. He doesn't get popped where he stands. Wicked at the moment can't dive on this one, and that is going to be the dragon picked up by SK Gaming. Gold very much on the nose, 27.2 to 27.2, and now they're going to turn tail and run towards this middle turret. They don't have enough though, and SK Gaming, they don't feel they can fight on the turret just yet, and I think they're pretty much on the nose there. Do you think they can?
Yeah, I mean, we have Kevin with a Sunfire Cape. He has 116 armor at this point, but the thing is, it's a tier 1 turret. It doesn't do that much damage. He can tank it easily, and as long as they can keep Candy Panda alive, which also, if he does it right, he can keep Wicked locked down because of the slow, because of the silence, which will completely shut him down. Candy Panda should be completely fine, not to mention you have the Shen ultimate, you have his taunt, you have the crescendo. They have the ability to do these dives. They're just not really confident in it.
Well, we'll see how it works out. 20 minutes gone in this game. Another half hour at least to go. Just doing that one. Going by experience here, ladies and gentlemen. That's all that's cast as. Kevin is going to return to that top lane. And look, he's all Wicked backing away straight away. He wants nothing to do with Kevin. He doesn't want a toe-for-toe fight. And maybe this is a problem, Olaf was available. They could have picked Olaf. Instead, they chose not to. It was EG's choice. Is it the right choice?
I mean, obviously it's not, but I love how they're being really experimental. They're really trying new things. You see Kevin tanking through Wicked's damage and turning around onto him, but we do have EG coming up.
He's trying to bait it. They are going to have it. Is it going to be long enough, though? Here comes the audacious charge. He's going to get the knockup. Kevin's going to get taken down. The damage coming in. Stand United. They go back on towards Kevin. Is it long enough? Shadow Dash comes across. He's trying to keep Kevin down. They have to drop him, but Wicked goes down. Now it's a 2v1, a 3v2. Sorry, the crescendo is perfect. Ocelot comes back around. Froggen goes down. Crepo's running for his life, and Snoopy will be left. No, it's going to come back around. Yellow Pete comes up. Can they turn this around? Ocelot's shaking very low. Ocelot's dropped, but a great shadow dash across there. HerkyBot's going to get taken down. Crepo's taken low as well. We do see Yellow Pete coming across. Yellow Pete does take down, and now it's going to be Nif. Nif's going to get dropped down. It's a crazy fight back and forth, but it will be a 4-3 for Evil Geniuses. What a crazy turnaround fight. Candy Panda, meanwhile, continues shoving down that bottom lane. He may get a turret out of it.
It was a 4-for-3 for EG, but like you're just saying, if they lose this turret, it's going to completely go in SK's favor. And that fight, what a fight indeed. HerkyBot, that first taunt we saw out of him, it missed everyone, but it didn't seem like it really did. It kind of got in between, like he kind of field goaled it a little bit right there. But also coming in, getting down the damage. Kevin just tanking through the entire team of EG. Such a great play by them, and that should show them, if they didn't before, they can win these fights. They can get these turrets down. They can tank the turrets if need be. And EG, they're honestly looking like they might lose this game.
Well, they came out on top in the fight, but it was a very much splattered one.
Well, Ezra wasn't there, that's the thing. We had Yellow Pete there, but Candy Panda wasn't.
Yeah, it was a 4v5. We do see the True Shot barrage going across there, clearing out the top there. He did manage to steal away that blue buff, so that was the advantage he gained, controlling that resource. Here's Snoopy. Well, he doesn't want to go 1v1 versus Kevin right now. Kevin, of course, with that Ninja Tab, he has got the fortitude potion as well this time, so he's going to get himself a bit of a heal should it be required. And of course, you know, you pop anything really on Kevin right now. He is so tanky. You saw how long 4 members of Evil Geniuses took to kill him there. That is a worry.
Yeah, very true. And the thing is, it's at a crucial point again. We have Froggen.
They're going for him again. They're going to go. Yellow Pete is lingering off the side. Yeah, he's not going to fall for it this time. He walks away. He had Ragnarok and Ghost. He baited it all in. He was expecting that fight.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much baiting them. Or they were baiting him originally, but he turned it around into a bait for them. Fortunately, they did lose that fight overall. But still, I mean, we have Froggen. He has the tiers stacked up. He could have his Mirror Mana when he does go back for it. And that's going to create a really big problem for SK, because if they allow EG to poke at them, it's going to create a lot of problems. And yet, looking for Kevin, doing it again. He's keeping that lane pushed up. He's forcing members of EG to deal with him, and that allows Candy Panda at the bot lane with Nif to push up.
They go past the ward. They get spotted out. The question is, can they drive him forward? Froggen's position is very well known, and that means they're going to pressure him towards that mid lane. They're pressuring the bottom lane. We do see actually Candy Panda is... No, they're going to keep pushing that bottom lane. They realise that Froggen and Yellow Pete are at the top, so that's going to open up this bottom lane to completely be shoved down. 4 members of SK Gaming. Good tactical play here, and this is all being created by Kevin in that top lane. He's just driving them, forcing the advantage.
He's like a Singed right now. You have to sense it up to the deal with them, but you can't really kill him. They'll get into their turret. The gold lead getting extended even farther. And Dragon, if I'm not mistaken, will be coming up very shortly, about a minute and a half here. And if SK can lock that down, the gold lead they'll accomplish from that, as you see, if you look at gold right now, Candy Panda sitting on 3,000 gold. You have Kevin on another 1,000. How do you stop, Kevin first of all, but then how do you stop Candy Panda, who has that much gold to pick up whatever he wants?
And he is going to just buy whatever he wants. I guess it would be Static Shiv, pretty sure. He's got that Avarice Blade already in there. As it is, Kevin on that top lane. There's nothing really stopping him. They've had to put Yellow Pete up there to try and keep that minion waves at bay, because simply put, Wicked is wasting his time up there. He needs to be the damage man. He needs to be the one that's trying to stop off Candy Panda so he can dash straight onto him, try and burst him down. But honestly, has that moment now passed? Is Candy Panda too slippery and too strong to be able to be dealt with by Wicked?
It just depends on how well SK plays it. As long as they keep him alive, they'll have Kevin going through the entire team, because they all have to die for him.
Look at all those pink wards being picked up. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And they really want to make a play here. They have 5 pink wards total, and they're going to be going for Baron very shortly. Or not to mention, going to go for the upper jungle side, I'm gonna go ahead and say, because if they can put pink wards down, they can really give Kevin that opportunity to keep pushing that, because then he'll know if anyone's coming after him. And if SK sees that, they're like, hey, we'll go bottom or we'll go middle and take a couple more turrets.
So pink ward gets placed in the bush. It's definitely going to be a dragon being picked up. Question is, can they drive any other advantage? Evil Genius is very much prepared for this one. We do see Snoopy coming down, putting that ward down. Shock Blast comes through. Pink ward of their own placed down. Wards getting placed everywhere. Oracle's being picked up by Crepo. They don't want to face check that bush. They are going to come round. Kevin, wow, look at that. Shock Blast doesn't even dent his backside. It was just like shrugging it off. I needed a bit of a massage. Thanks for hitting me right there. You just caught the spot beautifully. Froggen takes the damage. He gets the back away. Nobody right now can deal with Kevin romping through that front line.
And he's pretty much 1v5 with them, keeping them pushed away. And the thing is, SK, they can go for Dragon and pretty much force the fight off that, and yet they're still being really hesitant. They have this lead. They need to push it. They need to close this game out, because if EG keeps dragging it on with the damage they're building up, it's going to create a really big problem for anyone to survive against them.
The issue right now for SK Gaming is they've had this advantage against Fnatic. They've had this advantage before against other teams, and they have thrown it. That's going to be in their back lane, and Snoopy comes in. He gets the steal down. Now they're going to go down. Snoopy will pay for his life. No, Crescendo comes across. Very nicely done there from Nif. The damage coming out. Wicked's getting dropped where he stands. He dives in. Froggen the next target. Yellow Pete's going to get dropped. Kevin is hammering away at him. Candy Panda picks up the kill. Kevin is running for his life. Ocelot's going to chase down Crepo. He's going to get another shot down. Shadow Dash there. You hear the charge. They're happy with that one. And now Crepo, Froggen's trying to come in, but you can't do the damage. You cannot 4v1. And he is going to get taken down. It's 4-0, and SK Gaming turn and burn. They're going to take the turret. They're going to take the Baron.
And that was such a perfect play to Ocelot if you saw it. Not to mention Nif. That crescendo couldn't have been any more perfect. And right after that crescendo ended, we saw Ocelot land that silence right over to Wicked and just shut him down. They got him out of the fight. They kept Candy Panda alive, and they won the fight because of that. And now they're going to get the Baron. They're going to be able to push up. They're going to be so strong right now. I mean, look at the gold yet they have again. After this Baron, each member is going to have over 1,000 gold sitting on. And they're just going to get so many more items. They're going to get that much further ahead. There's really nothing EG can do. I mean, well, there's something they could do. They can easily stall it out, which they're known for doing, and they can drag it out far enough to, start doing some damage back. But the thing is, Kevin's going to get that much more stronger and that much more of a threat.
Well, we talked about it before. We talked about how the difference is, and the fact that AEG had been pointing out SK Gaming was so strong right now. This appears to be what they've learned from the scrims that they've had between them. They're shouting back and forth between the teams. They are very much the blood pressure right now. I'd love to have some biometrics on these teams, because I reckon the heart rates in these team fights must go through the roof. They do for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, especially when these fights break out. They're so insane and so much action happening everywhere. And I'm pretty sure Oslo right now is feeling really good about himself, because his team is looking very strong to take this game and show everyone that this lineup they have finally built up can really do some serious damage against these top tier teams, which they clearly are.
You know what? If SK Gaming were to land the win here, it is going to throw this league wide open in week 1. There's going to be no one with clear run. We saw it without... Actually, I'm not going to give results away. We saw some strong performances in the North American first week. Let's put it that way. As it is, EG are going to try and turn an advantage here. They realize that a lot of people are backed away. Can they get the damage done towards this turret? Can they take an advantage? Can they take the middle inner turret down? They will do. And that was a good sneaky little run there from Evil Geniuses. Do not leave your mid lane open.
Yeah, caught him off guard right there, but still SK, they're going to be on a push here. We have Hercubot split pushing the bottom lane.
They're countering. They're running. They haven't used Shirelias, but they're chasing.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Kevin gets up there in time, we have the Stand United up for Hercubot, so he's going to keep that bot lane pushed up. He's going to force someone to deal with him, but he's so tanky enough right now. He's pretty much on Kevin's level with, without the Shirelias, but still, he's so hard for anyone to deal with. I don't think anyone can really take him on 1v1, except maybe Yellow Pete, who finally has a couple of strong items, or maybe potentially Jace with that Mirror Mana and that Bloodthirster combo with the Brutalizer. But if he's setting up, you see those wards over that wall, he really wants to get these crescendos landing. He has flash, can be up fairly shortly. And if he creates an opportunity with that crescendo, SK is going to dogpile on top of that.
Interesting build that Candy Pan has gone for that Warden's Mail. He's just, obviously he realizes he's going to be the man that's dived on, and he's just built perfectly to counter it, yeah.
He wants to keep, every time Wicked hits him, he's going to be slowed and gives him that little bit of room, that breathing room. Thing is, Wicked only has those 3 charges. Once those are up, he's not going to be able to stick to him.
He's not going to be able to get away either, and you can see the damage that Static Shiv is doing, the damage being output from Candy Panda, and Kevin quite happy to take that turret hit. Look at that. The turret's just like, yeah, I'm not even feeling it. It's another massage for Kevin.
That's a second turret in a row. Actually, no, not the second turret, but what can they do against him? He's just so beefy. He has a Shredder to jump on him. He has that cooldown reduction. They have the lockout on Solari over to Hercubot, and SK looking like they finally feel confident enough to take this turret down.
They just pinged it. And said, Wicked is over here. They can't do anything. This is a 4v5. We can just tank this turret out, and they do just that. Using that Baron. Maybe, just maybe they've learned overnight, okay, we know what we need to do. And the fact that we discussed it with them and they basically said, we know what the problem is. Have they addressed it this quick? They haven't taken an inhibitor yet, so let's not get ahead of ourselves, but they have a 5,000 gold advantage, a 2 turret advantage, a 3 kill advantage.
And the thing is, you have to look back at what happened in this game so far. EG came out of the doors just running straight at them. They got that early turret. They were very aggressive in that top side as well, trying to go for a gank there. And yet SK held on. They kept their composure. They kept calm. They held on long enough that they could turn the game around, turn the tables onto EG, and start winning these fights, start winning this game. And they are starting to put some pressure onto this top side, but we still have Hercubot pushing the bottom, and Kevin, he's coming for blood, as you see him right there, coming into this top side, trying to catch Snoopy.
As it is, they're going to keep in there. Snoopy, got to be careful he doesn't get caught out. Kevin's going to come around the back there. Doesn't bother tanking it. There's no need. There's absolutely no need, because they already disengaged. The sheer threat of Kevin coming nearby. Tell Peke that last week. I don't think he was feeling the threat, but as it is, the threat of Kevin was strong.
Yeah, very, very true indeed. And they're going to be back in with a nice chunk of gold yet again. We're going to have that Randuin's Omen done for Candy Panda very shortly, as he's going to go back and buy it. And the thing is, SK, they're just getting that much stronger.
I had an interesting conversation with Ocelot. I've had a few of them over the course of the weekend. And actually, he said, we can win the lane phases. We can be way ahead. But 40 minutes, and I won't tell you what he said, but at 40 minutes... we sure know how to throw the game.
Yeah.
They just lose one team fight and it's all over. And that is actually a legitimate problem. They have Caitlyn, they have Jace, they have Shinzao in there. They have a lot of damage that can be done to those turrets, and he can shred the turret down very, very quickly. We can see the Brutalizer coming out now from Snoopy. He's already feeling he's got tanky enough that he just needs more damage to put it down. this is still a legitimate problem for SK Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, the longer they drag out, the stronger Yellow Pete's going to get. That window of him being weak is starting to come to a close. He's going to have that last whisper done soon enough, and that way he can actually take Kevin on. SK can take another dragon. That is the second of the game for them since they got that last one stolen away. But still, it seems a little bit unnecessary, and that's kind of going into the whole fact of closing out a game. Do you really need that dragon when you should be making a push?
Yeah, I mean, the Baron buff is worn out. They did fight hard for it to get in there. It was all from a dragon fight that it happened. They managed to take that advantage. Have they got enough of an advantage? They're split pushing. It seems to be they're at that situation, like you mentioned. They're a little unsure of what they should do right now.
I mean, you have a Shen. Get him split pushing. Keep Kevin as your zoning power. When he goes into that top lane, use that Shen ultimate on the Candy Panda. Keep him alive. Have Ocelot doing what he's been doing every single fight of just locking Wicked out. And as long as you do that, Froggen won't have the damage to really lock down anyone. I mean, he's going to have Kevin in his face. He's going to have Hercubot in his face potentially. What can he really do against that? Not to mention, if you get a nice crescendo on the EG, they're going to be stuck there.
Well, everybody's back in. Everybody's going to be buying them wards, and we're going to see a Baron dance coming out because it is due in 50 seconds' time. Well, actually 60 seconds to be hit the nail on the head. We do see a couple of pink wards coming out. We see a bit more damage, possibly a Void staff, Ryler's staff maybe even coming out. Sorry for Ocelot as he picks up a Blasting one to go with that Giant's belt. Anything particular that you are seeing from the builds? Because there is a lot of damage on EG and SK Gaming. The question is, can they lay it in the right place and can they control that crazy, crazy Kevin?
Well, the thing is, EG can't, but if you look over at Nif, he picked up a Runic Bulwark to give him the extra magic, the extra armor for Candy Panda. He has a randomness as well. SK knows where they are, who they want to keep alive, and they're building the items to do that. And they have the damage they need. I mean, you see Ocelot, like you're mentioning, building a Ryle's Crystal Scepter because he doesn't need that much more damage. And that could have been a nice pincer move right there because Froggen is nowhere to be seen.
I feel they went a little too early there. I think Candy Panda kind of, overshot the target, maybe went a little bit early because he just shot out there. As he was, Kevin was looking, like you say, getting a pincer move around the back there, and I think they could have made that work.
Yeah, the thing is, Baron going to roll now, so it's kind of one of those things of, do you really want to risk losing a team fight right before Baron?
Well, is this the problem that they've talked about? Oh, are they going to drop it? No, they're going to dive in, they're going to go in, they're going towards Wicked. Crescendo comes across, catches 4 members of Evo Geniuses. Wicked with the wild growth, still hasn't gone down. He's on towards Candy Panda. Candy Panda finally manages to take him down. Now Froggen's the target, and that one's Mal's doing justice because he's finally gone down, but it is Froggen that got dropped in the process. Ocelot has been taken out by Yellow Pete, but Crepo is going to go down. Ace in the hole coming out from the side here. Yellow Pete, where are you running, Yellow Pete? It's a 2 for 3. He's going to try and back. It should just be enough to hold off. SK Gaming could go for Baron if they so desire, but they are going to go towards the inhibitor turret. I'm not sure whether they can get onto it, though. I think they could.
The thing is, that last fight, that was insane because you saw 3 members die straight for Candy Panda. You had that crescendo. He had a choice, Nif right there. Hit 4 members of EG or lock down Wicked. And he decided to go for the 4 members of EG. We had Hercubot open up with a flash taunt on a Wicked to lock him down. And with all of them attacking Candy Panda with the control that their team has, with the amount of tankiness he is, they could not kill him. They couldn't even drop him below half health.
Well, we do see a giant wave in that top lane pushing in towards the base, but Evil Genius is well aware of the situation. They had no vision of Baron, so they're having to look it out, but they're realizing potentially nothing happening there. Wicked will clear out that top wave, and that's going to help out. So, Evil Geniuses, they hang on a little bit longer, and that was a pretty close fight, let's be fair. Ocelot was the target, and as I mentioned, Yellow Pete and Froggen, they do have a lot of damage, but we saw Wicked and Froggen, they were the ones that absolutely piled onto Candy Panda, and it took both of them to really get him down, but he took them both with him.
Yeah, and Yellow Pete was the one that was actually just pretty much pushing Ocelot out of that fight. He ended up getting the kill by flashing over the Wraith Wall just to lock it down. That's why you saw the ultimate come from that side of the map, and as long as he can keep doing that to Ocelot, they have potential to win these fights because Ocelot's really kind of key to lock down Wicked. It wasn't necessarily so much in that fight, but still, if you take out someone who's an assassin like that, an AP assassin, you can get to the backside and just pretty much destroy Yellow Pete, destroy Frog, and it's really going to create an opportunity for you to win these fights. But still, what's their answer for Candy Panda and Kevin? They don't really have one at this point.
The issue right now, we're getting close to 40 minutes. We're coming into Evil Genius's territory. They are the late game beasts of all the games. The question is, have SK Gaming let this go too long?
I don't think so.
Are they at the point, is the tankiness going to start becoming null and void when the damage gets that high?
I don't think so. they just have the control they need right now because they've been doing so well in every single fight this entire game to keep the key targets alive and to pretty much zone out and kill the targets of EG. And in terms of mental focus, I think SK is on an adrenaline rush right now because they're doing so well against EG, and they want to prove to everyone that they can take them down, and they want to prove Wicked right about what he said.
Well, I think they're proving the fact that that shock blast nearly didn't dent Candy Panda. He's got that Randy and Zoman complete. And he has got a lot of defensive abilities, and you can see just tanking out there 188 armor on Candy Panda.
On an 80 carry.
On an 80 carry. Wow. Oh, I tell you what, Froggen's going to show himself in that top lane. Is it going to be close enough? Will they try and pile for anything? They are moving towards the Baron. There isn't many wards there. Nif simply just on a sweep duty, though. It may catch them out. They are going to get Snoopy Ham to split apart there. Hercubot thought about going for it.
SK, they're stalling for no reason. They need to make a decision. They need to make a concise move here because they're just dragging the game out. They're not doing anything right here. They're letting EG get back into the game by farming up. They're not creating an opportunity when they could just run straight into them, land a potential taunt or have also get a nice slow onto the enemy team with that Shurelez. As you see right there, trying to get that slow on a Crepo. But they're not engaging. It seems like they lost their confidence even though they weren't really losing the fights.
They are unsure of their abilities. True Shot Barrage has been shot off down the bottom. That clears out a giant wave. They have started pulling out the Baron, and they're going to disengage straight away. And we do see EG. They do have another shock blast across. Still nobody wants to engage on this one.
They're positioning right now. I didn't understand that. I mean, they have an Oracle. You're going to have EG limited on wards. If they use them all, they're going to have to back out, come in with new ones, and that creates a Baron opportunity for you. And yet they're backing out for no real reason.
Hercubot goes back, gets himself another Ruby Crystal. Was it worth it? Not too sure. That little bit of health could be the difference. We do see some backing as well coming from Yellow Pete and Crepo. They're going to try and take advantage. They realise that everybody is backed off, and well, the little Baron dance continues. Honestly, Jason, right now, if they were to go straight on 5v5 fight, who is really going to be the victor? And obviously, it depends heavily on how the engage works.
Yeah, I mean, that is the key point. It really depends on where the positioning is and how well SK does at controlling. We have just so much armor built up over to SK right now. Kevin finishing his random at Zoman, but it all comes down to pretty much Wicked and Yellow Pete in their positioning. If Wicked can kind of beat Tankef, as he does finish off that Warmogs, and survive long enough to pretty much bait all the damage into him, then it allows Yellow Pete to just train through all of SK one by one, and you even see a Blade of the Rune King picked up on him right now just to get that extra damage. And the thing is, he has that Last Whisper. Black Cleaver is done on Froggen, so if they pair up and attack the same target, the armor they're going to have is not really going to matter as he's going to be chunking them down percent-wise.
You got to feel that's the absolute best item right now for Yellow Pete. They could potentially rip someone apart if they can get onto the right person, like you mentioned. The question is, how much damage? I kind of feel that Wicked needs a Zhonya's Hourglass. I don't know, because he's the man that's been going piling in there, and everybody is focusing. If he can just bait them that much and just pop that, I don't know. I mean, it's not really an ideal item for a Kali to have.
It's a perfect situational item, though, because you're right. He's going to the backline. They're blowing so many cooldowns to kill him, to keep him off Candy Panda, and Yellow Pete's at that point with all these items that he's the one doing the damage. He's the one that needs protecting. He's
They've gone for it. They've dived on towards Kevin. Stanley United has been worth. Crescendo only used on Yellow Pete, and that's not going to be enough. Yellow Pete does manage to flash a row. Shadow Dash comes across. Yellow Pete's going to get taken down. Wild Growth used on Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete, the focus. Can they turn it around? Yellow Pete's gone down. The damage line has gone. SK Gaming should turn this one on its face, but Wicked in around that back line. He's going to get dropped down. He can't escape because there's an Oracle on the team, and that's going to be a 2 for 0. SK Gaming could just pile straight through the middle. The damage front line has gone down, and SK Gaming should pick up an inhibitor off this one. I'd be amazed if EG can defend it.
And that was EG engaging that fight for no reason. We saw Snoopy go in, and then he got completely turned around on. We saw Wicked, he went off to the side. He was trying to go into the back line, but the thing is, right when he came in, he got exhausted, and they just ran away from, they killed Yellow Panda, and then they pretty much just moved on to another target, and that way opened up that inhibitor.
There's some Yellow Pandas on the map right now.
Yellow Pete. It's a new Annie skin, I'm telling you.
Candy Pete and Yellow Panda. It's a mix mash of everyone. But it doesn't matter because SK Gaming are looking like they're going to pick up a Baron here. And SK, well, could they even bait this one out? We see the Shock Blast coming in. They've got to be careful. Froggen is still a legitimate threat off the side. There they are at half health. Crepo coming around as well. They do see a ward in the bush there. They're going to clear that one out. Can they get the steal? Snoopy is there. No, instead they're going to turn it around. Ocelot's now the target. Froggen's taken down very low, but Snoopy's surely in all sorts of trouble. They can just shred his down. Oh, the audacious charge across. He manages to go towards Ocelot. It's only a knock-up though. And well, Ocelot turns it back around on him and jukes him down for a 1v1. And the damage once again is done. but it does delay the Baron.
Yeah, that was a great play actually by EG there too. They lost one member, but they kept off that Baron. They have that inhibitor down, so if SK did get that Baron, they can just split push the entire time and let those super minions push, force this one to deal with them. Overall, that was a perfect play by EG, and now it looks like they had the potential to go for it if they wanted to, even though they didn't have the jungler. Well, I don't think they really can do it anymore, as you do have, the entire enemy team of SK closing in on them.
How quick can they take this down? If you can select the Baron, please. And so we will see the health, and we can see it's down to 9,400. And here comes SK Gaming. They're going to dive in. It's Wicked seems to be the target. The Crescendo comes across, crashes Crepo, but Froggen's now big on the fight. He's going towards the damage on towards Hercubot, but you can see Yellow Pete has already been taken down, and SK Gaming just back away. The Shock Blast comes in. They're just defending as much as they can humanly possible. Snoopy is down though, and a 3-man defense. I don't think they can stop it. Oh, but the Shock Blast once again. Candy Panda, they're going to turn it. They're going to turn straight on towards him. EG in all sorts of trouble. Wicked's trying to put the damage down, but they have been separated. Crepo's trying to get away. Wicked doing as much as he can to stealth around. Can he dash across? He's hoping he can see it, but no, he's going to get dropped. And well, Froggen, I don't think you can keep it off. It's got to be a sneaky steal. That's all they can hope for now.
This is like the 4th time they're going for Baron here. And I didn't even notice that Austin actually picked up a random to open himself, and he popped it there just to keep him slow, keep him off Candy Panda. That's such a perfect itemization of him.
Candy Panda on towards Crepo. Wow, look at that. He's just trying to keep them in there. He wants to get close. The Baron down to 5,000 hit points, 4,000 hit points. Here comes Froggen. He's going to try and get in. He's being picked off though, and his Candy Panda's going to take him down, and that is going to be the Baron eventually being picked up by SK Gaming. It's took them a hard-fought battle to get that buff.
And that's a 64-second death term on Froggen. It's that late in the game where if you die, you're pretty much out of the fight for the rest of the game. We do have the Super Minions pushed up onto those Nexus turrets. We're going to have SK backing away with that Baron. We have 3,000 gold on Candy Panda right now. What is he going to pick up as his next item? I'm assuming it would be an Infinity's Edge, because that's going to give him just... he goes for another Bloodthirster, actually. Going for extra sustain against his team, because he was getting relatively low in some of those fights. But with this Baron now, with this Baron up SK, with this crazy items, you see Hercule running in with that home guard. It's always funny to see the home guard, I have to say. But with how strong they are right now, with that Baron, with that inhibitor down, this looks like SK is going to close this game out.
I don't think there'll ever be a moment where Kevin doesn't buy home guards anymore. If you are the person in a highlight video on the end of that highlight video, I don't think you'd ever let that happen again. And I'm pretty sure that's always going to be. And SK Gaming,
why?
With the Baron buff, well, 70k is not quite enough gold. You've got to have another dragon.
The thing is, you're not going to spend that anytime soon, so what's the point? If anything, push that tower, get that inhibitor, get it on the way out. But, it seems like they're wasting a little bit of time, but still, they are grouping up, pushing this bottom side, and with those Supermans still pushing down this mid lane, inhibitor not going to be up for a little bit longer. They can create a lot of pressure here, and we still have, Yellow Pete on the top side, not really in position to defend this, and Kevin, he's just doing what he wants. He's basically a Mundi right now. He's going where he pleases.
Kevin is going where he pleases. At 11-3-10, he certainly can do, and they are going to go in towards it. I tell you what, anyone on this team could tank up this turret right now, and it is going to be the inhibitor going down. One more shot will be enough to finish it off, and Candy Panda's going to come in and do the job. And now SK Gaming driving in towards Evil Genius's base, and Evil Genius is having to back away. They've got Super Minions coming up the middle. They've got SK Gaming coming up the bottom, and along the top lane is also a giant stack of waves. This could well be SK Gaming closing out the match for the first time against Evil Geniuses. It would feel so good. They did it in the European qualifiers. Can they do it here in their third game of the LCS?
I think we're going to see that happen. Doing very systematic end right here. They're going to go for this last turret. And EG, they have to make a play here. They have to engage on SK because they're going to lose their base to those two open inhibitors. If they don't make a play here, this game will be over either way for SK.
And you can see they're just torn. How are they going to split this one? Froggen has gone back. He's gone back to heal himself up, gone back to buy. They can't let this final inhibitor turret go down. They've been in this situation before against World Elite. They have Super Minions coming up the middle. They have major stacks of minions coming up the bottom. I'm not too sure if they're super minions yet. They have got the inhibitor respawn. That's going to go down straight away. They are desperately keeping them at bay here, but the Baron of SK Gaming are just going where they please right now.
Kind of surprised they're actually going through this route. They're tanking up to tank that turret completely, and they could zone them out with their own champions if they kind of went through the backside, but still they're knocking on the front door. Those two waves still pushing up right now. Super minion waves finally coming in on that bottom side, and EG...
Look at that. Shockblast is doing nothing to Hercubot. They need to just walk in and hit the goddamn turret, and that is exactly what they're going to do. Finally, it's actually Candy Panda that's tanking out the turret instead of Hercubot and Kevin, which could probably take about 10 shots from that turret without even blinking. And finally, they're keeping the damage, keeping it working down. They've got super minions on the Nexus turrets right now. They are starting to lose their Nexus turret, and you can see Froggen's had to go back and deal with it. It's a 4v5 right now. Ocelot is just waiting. Will the call ever come through? Wicked is certainly going to be the target. Instead, it's going to be Yellow Pete. They put damage down, but it's still not enough. Super minions still on the turrets. Well, are they ever going to pull the trigger? The Nexus turret has gone down. Audacious charge. Wild growth on Snoopy, but Snoopy's got no damage to do it. And now you can see Froggen. He's on towards Ocelot, but Ocelot is so tanky. He's going to run the Utopia of his own. He takes down Froggen. Crepo is taking low. Yellow Pete's the target. Crepo's going to go down. SK Gaming are going to take down the Evil Geniuses here in the League of Legends Championship Series. And that is going to feel so good for the boys in blue. And wow, what a game. Finally it happened. And well, as we expected, 48 minutes into the game, they finally win.
And really what a game indeed. Looking back at just how it started and how it ended, SK played phenomenal right there. They're so excited as you saw them on your screen. As EG just looking like, you know, they should keep their heads held high because they went with a new strat. They were really aggressive, and it worked out for them very early on. But still, SK looks like they found a way to close out the games, Demon.
So, SK Gaming 2-1 in this series. Evil Geniuses a 2-1 in this series. Fnatic a 2-1 in this series. Gambit Gaming a 1-2 in this series, and Giants a 1-1. What some crazy results, ladies and gentlemen. It just shows that Europe is very much an even league, and anyone could win it. We're going to toss it over to the analyst desk. It is going to be Quick Shot and Joe to take us through that 48-minute epic.
An epic is exactly what it was, Demon. An amazing game. I expected something special from this game, Quick Shot, but I'm not sure if I expected quite that. That was just an absolute beast.
It was absolutely brilliant. From the very get-go today, we were talking about the matchups, and we were talking about where we thought the most drama could happen. And, you know, we didn't even expect the Giants Gambit game to go the way that it did. And this EGSK, it did not disappoint. It's a repeat of the European Championships, or the European Regionals, rather, where we see SK Gaming stepping up and managing to defeat Evil Geniuses. You know, it just seems when they need to, they can defeat EG.
And as Demon said, that leaves us right now in such a crazy position. Well, before we move on to that, let's jump into the replays and have a look. One moment that we picked out, I mean, I kept a note of everything here. I've almost got 2 pages of timestamps from that game, which were just amazing things to watch. But we took one from about 26.5 minutes in there, that big fight at the Dragon, which led to a Baron.
Well, up until this point, if you have a look at the replay, you'll see that it's completely even. Both teams sitting there almost even on kills, almost even on gold, almost even on towers. It's as close as the matchup is going to be. So we're going to drop the hideaway as we move into this fight. SK Gaming are going to start the engagement on the Dragon. You can see Kevin, he is extremely beefy right now. As the engagement comes in, Snoopy's going to do a very nice steal on the Dragon buff. He's going to use the Audacious Charge, steal it away with Smite, and immediately SK Gaming collapse onto EG. Take a look at the True Shot Barrage up at the top of the screen. You can see hit 3 members of Evil Geniuses. The thing you want to keep your eyes on as we go through the rest of this replay is that the positioning and the targeting of SK Gaming. They simply pick off one target at a time, chunk him down, and then dime them over. A beautiful 3-man crescendo out of Nif just gets everybody dancing. Wicked tries a last-ditch effort, you know, dashes onto Ocelot, puts a lot of damage down, but unfortunately it just was not enough. Hercubot now channels his Stand United, and you can just see, once again, SK, they split up a little bit. The call comes in, Yellow Pete, and all of SK just collapse on him. You can immediately see now, the call comes in. Crepo's the target. And look at every single member of SK here. They turn their attention. Candy Panda steps back for a second, realizes that Ocelot's going to pick up the kill. The rest of the team will close this one out. And just, once again, absolutely brilliant play coming out of SK Gaming there. So that's the, that was the turning point. From there on, they picked up Baron Nashor, they ran over the rest of the map, and they started just putting pressure throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, and just amazing as well. I mean, we saw EG starting to push forward. They were looking really good. We saw that there was one point where the inventory of SK just filled up with pink wards. That was like the catalyst for this to all really start. And Jason or Demon, I can't even remember anymore. That's how excited I was throughout that game. Said, look at all those pink wards coming out there. Yeah. That is going to be the start of something, and that's how it really kicked off. We're going to skip it on a little bit here to a bit further on in the game.
Yes, so this is now moving us up to pretty much EG's last ditch effort. We're up to about 41 minutes on the clock. SK Gaming were in an extremely power position. They had 2 or 3 random zones on the teams already. They were super, super tanky. They simply were not afraid of Akali. And this was now EG. They tried to make one last team fight happen. Let's jump into the replay, and I'll run you through exactly as this plays. You can see SK Gaming, they were pushed away from Baron. There was a little bit of a dance back and forth, and you can see Evil Geniuses, they start to pick this engagement. And questionable decision-making here from Snoopy. Kevin is overextended, but he's overextended on purpose. They dive onto him. Stand United comes out, and Evil Geniuses immediately realize that this is a problem. Now, we got to be honest. The crescendo from Nif was not the strongest. It only caught out Yellow Pete. But because of the effect of Kevin in this team fight, everybody splits up. Evil Geniuses are everywhere. There's, Froggen's up on the side. He's just trying to rely on those Shock Blast combos, while the diving combo of Hercubot and Kevin are tanking up 3 or 4 members of SK Gaming. They close out Yellow Pete and just simply chase down. Snoopy's flash to safety. Hercubot locks up the rest of them, and it's just a complete decimation coming out of SK Gaming. They stamped their authority on the game at 26 minutes. They did not let it go, and unlike their matches against Fnatic, they knew how to close out the match.
Yeah, and Demon asked yesterday, is this a legitimate problem that we're seeing from the likes of SK Gaming here? It was after the Wolves game where they were so comfortable in the lead that they had, but they couldn't finish that game off, and now we've seen that they can finish a game even when they're on paper that bit behind as well. They come right into it. They make that power play that can really set them apart from their opponents. Drive it home for the win.
Yeah, really, really well played. I do need to give massive props to Mr. D-Man, because at the beginning of the game, we hit that 20-minute mark and he said it's going to be another 30. And I believe he was 1 minute over the estimation, because it was 29. But what a prediction indeed.
Yeah, and again, credit to SK as a whole there. Yeah. Some of those crescendos out of NIF were pretty spectacular.
The opening 35-40 minutes, I mean, I picked one fight where the crescendo was a fair, and I'm sorry about that.
It hit one person.
It hit one, and hit the most important person, let's be honest as well. Yellow Pete was the one they needed to lock down. But 2, 3, 4-man crescendos time and time again. There was the one team fight where 4 of EG were on top of Kevin in the top lane. Crescendo came out, locked up 3 of them. It was absolutely brilliant from SK Gaming. You cannot speak higher of them.
Well, that's one of those games where even if you watch it in its entirety, you should definitely head over to lolesports.com in a while and watch it all over again. It really was that good. That's it from us here on the analysis desk. We're going to throw it over to Shocks for now, though, who's going to be waiting with a certainly very happy man from SK Gaming.
Absolutely. I'm here with Kevin, a top laner for SK Gaming. They just beat Evil Geniuses. Kevin, it seems that you always bring your A game against Evil Geniuses or XCLGEU.
Yeah, we try it. Like, they're good enemies, good friends especially. Like, we scrimped a lot versus them. So we tried to give our best versus them just to prove ourselves. So yeah, that's the goal mainly, to prove versus them. So we prove versus other teams.
All right, so yesterday you had the problem of not being able to finish the match when you had an advantage. How did you work on that today?
Well, yesterday it was like a bit uncoordinated. Like, we wanted to base but didn't go and stuff like that, got caught. This time it was like slowly. We were a bit hyped, of course, like always with a Spanish guy. This time it was like slowly, like making laugh, so just keep it down. Yeah, keep cool.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, for the last time, let's go over to the commentators, D-Man and Jason, to take us through today's matches.
Well, I never knew Kevin was slowly making love throughout that game.
I said laugh.
I'm pretty sure he says, like, slowly making love. I don't know.
All you ladies out there?
I'm not too sure.
It takes his time.
His girlfriend's in the crowd. So I think he's safe on that one. Wow, some impressive games today, ladies and gentlemen. They really have been good. We've seen some shocks, without being too much of a pun there. It is on your screen. You can see the scores. Gambit Gaming, of course, they had a fantastic result against Fnatic early on. Really was a dominant result, and we thought, wow, Gambit back to their best. But Copenhagen Wolves, you can see, they went down to the Evil Geniuses. That put them in a 2-0. But these games that we've just covered have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give Copenhagen Wolves credit, though. They were pretty much winning the game for the first, I believe it was 15 minutes, and then they kind of just had that one overextend that really just made the game fall out of their hands. But Giants taking that win over Gambit, and that was such a huge game. That was probably the best game I've seen in a long time. And then SK in that last one, taking that well-deserved victory over Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, some fantastic performances from these teams. And we've had to come up with a MVP of the day. And honestly, who else would it be but Jim Bones? Yeah. Jim Bones with his big shiny shurikens of steel was absolutely epic against Gambit. Really, you know, we've talked about AD Cannon. When AD Cannon came out in the live qualifiers, we were like, okay, maybe, you know, we'll see what he's got. But he's stuck with AD Cannon. He's played fantastic with AD Cannon.
And I'm starting to think, are we going to start seeing some targeted bans out of him on that? Because
maybe.
He's been playing, I mean, even in the games they lost, he still played really well.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Genja at the top, and that's what kind of started the ball rolling. He managed to take him down. Every time Alex Hitch came in, wasn't scared. Every time Darian came in on Renekton, didn't give a monkeys, and just turned it around and managed to take him down every single time. He was really the split-pushing man for them. Fantastic performance from him. I mean, anything else you'd like to say about today? We've seen some fantastic games.
I'm just so proud to be a part of Season 3 LCS because that... where are you going to see games like this? You're not going to see them for such a long time unless you are watching this. And Demon, it was really an honor to cast with you because we haven't done it too often. We did it once at Gamescom.
Yeah, it's been a long time. There's been some fantastic games as well, Jason. So let's go for the fist bump. Don't leave me hanging.
All right.
Thank you very much. So, well, that is it from me and Jason for this week. Let's head on over to the stage, the Shocks, to have some final thoughts about the day.
Wow, what a night it has been here in Cologne. What matches, and this is just the beginning. Next week, we will be seeing Against All Authority and the Dragonborns with their first matches in Season 3. And next Saturday, you can look forward to Evil Geniuses versus Dragonborns, Copenhagen Wolves versus SK Gaming, Against All Authority takes on Gambit Gaming, and Evil Geniuses versus SK Gaming. Of course, on Thursday and on Friday, you can tune in to the matches over at our NA LCS. That's what it is for here from our studio for tonight. I want to thank all of you over here who came to the studio to watch, the viewers at home, and we hope to see you next week.